Hi, I'm AnneMarie Chany of Gen X Quilters and the author of Sister Sampler Quilts. I'm back with another video tutorial for you on one of the quilting basics to help get you started on your next project. This is quarter square triangles, and the block looks like this. It's a block as a square made up of 4 equal triangles. And you can go through and cut individual triangles and sew them all together independently if that's something you want to use. But there's a shortcut method I'd like to show you if you're interested in only using 2 fabrics. This block is called the Hourglass block, and that's, you can see the same colors are on opposing sides looking like an hourglass shape. We're going to start with 2 squares of the same size. This is very similar to how we start half square triangles, but we'll just add a little twist in a little bit later. The 2 squares are the same size, and we've drawn a line on the back of one of them from corner to corner across the diagonal. And now we'll get ready to sew. Okay, next up on our quarter square triangle block, we're ready to sew. I've taken our 2 squares and placed them right sides together and included a pin if you like. Now we're going to sew on either side of that diagonal line, about a 1/4 inch away from the line that you drew. This is very similar to how we start off our half square triangles. We'll sew on one side of the line. We'll go back and do it all over again. Okay, so there we are. Looks the same as our half square triangles, right? But now here comes the twist. Okay, here we are, so we're ready to cut. We have 2 cuts to make with this block. The first one will be just like we did for half square triangles. We'll lay the ruler on the line that we drew and use our rotary cutter to cut across the block. Now, here's the trick. Don't pick up the pieces. Leave them on the mat and don't touch them before you make your next cut. We'll take the ruler and put it on the opposite diagonal and make a cut there. Okay, so now you have cut your block into 4 different pieces. When you open them up, you can see that they are half of that hourglass block. We'll press these towards the dark fabric. You can do that for all 4 pieces of the unit. And then when we go to sew them back together, we'll have to find the opposites that match. So we're trying to make this block. Nope, those won't make it. Those won't make it. Of course, I didn't press the one that will. There's the mate. So now these pieces will make our hourglass block, but we have to sew them back together first. Let's go do that now. Okay, let's sew our next line so we can get this block back together. We start out with these 2 pieces, and we're going to put them right sides together, matching up the intersection of the triangles. Now this is a place where you definitely want a pin. These cuts are on the bias and will have a tendency to stretch or kind of bend and warp out of place. So if you put a pin right where those pieces intersect, it will help keep that intersection in line and help you from distorting the pieces. Some people like to put pins on either side at the corners. I don't really like to use a lot of pins, but that's up to you. If it will help you keep your pieces straight, then you should definitely do that. Okay, so now we'll go in and sew these pieces back together with a 1/4 inch seam. Or use that pin to help you, but make sure you take it out before you sew over it. And there we have our unit. Now we're ready to press it open. And there it is. Okay, so now we're ready to press this open. In this case, you can press to either direction, whichever one kind of seems to fold more naturally. It's really up to you. After we press it, we're ready to square it up again. We'll take our block and lay it on the mat, and this time we're going to square it up to a 3-inch block. I've already pre-gridded off what we need to square the block up to, and I like to use these Post-it notes to kind of keep it as a physical reminder of the dimension that the block is supposed to be. So in this case, I don't know if you can see it here, but I've also marked a very small black dot on the center of the grid. This marks where the center of the 3-inch block is. We'll want to put that black dot exactly on the center of your intersecting points of your hourglass quarter square triangle block. So we'll take the diagonal of the ruler and choose one of the diagonals of the block. Put that black dot exactly in the center of the block, lining up the diagonal, and we want to make sure that there's excess fabric hanging off all 4 sides of the block. And once we have that, we can trim 2 of the sides. There we go. Make sure I don't catch my fingers there. Okay, so now we have 2 sides trimmed up. We'll go ahead and change the trim the other sides. So we'll switch the block around. These are now the cut sides, and we want to line the cut sides up along our gridded off portion. Again, putting that dot in the center of the intersection, lining up the edges that you've already cut here, and keeping that diagonal along the diagonal of the block. Now we'll trim our 2 remaining sides. And there it is. Another cool block that you can add to your repertoire and help you make some more exciting quilts. I hope you give it a shot. Thanks.